3 then.
All right. Yes, sir. Here we go. Thank you,
All right.
Donnie. Our Lady of Sorrow, Book 3, or The Mystery of Why Things Begin and Where They End. I finally did it. I caught her. I had spent 6 weeks with my foster cat, Lady, 2 of them in heat, her, not me. And one morning when, in a battle to get her into her carrier, she bit me hard. I nearly landed in the ER, but antibiotics helped to everything turn out okay. After Lady's state-sanctioned 10-day bite quarantine, which she spent under my bed, another unsuccessful attempt at the carrier was made, this time by a professional named Mona Lisa, a person, not the painting. We had to get her spayed. Lady, not Mona Lisa. So the shelter gave me a feral cat trap that looked positively medieval. With another miserable heat cycle for both of us just around the corner, I set the trap, placing a bowl of wet food on the tilted metal tray that, when pressed, would close the trap door. It didn't work. Wet food becomes unappetizing fairly quickly, and, as you may recall, Lady is a whip-smart warrior who doesn't suffer fools, like me. I tried again a couple of nights later, this time with dry food. In the wee hours, hunger won out, and, I'm sorry to say, I got her. This time I heard a mournful cry, not the primal scream of a feral cat in heat, but the whimper of a 2-year-old 10-pounder who had now, after weeks of Houdini-like escapes, finally been captured. It was hard to see her behind bars. I covered the cage and went back to bed. When I woke a short time later, I texted Mona Lisa, the person, not the painting. Got her, I wrote. Mona Lisa was thrilled. Lady was the first cat she had not been able to catch, and she reveled in the fact that her ultimate feline foe, her white whale, had at last been caught. I asked how soon Lady would be spayed so I could quickly bring her back home. You decided to adopt her? Mona Lisa asked. I'm pretty sure, I replied, though I wasn't sure at all. I immediately worried about the next time I'd need to put her in a carrier for a checkup or if there was a fire and we had to flee my apartment fast. I'd like to keep her a little longer, I texted, to see if we can pick up where we left off. You see, Lady was already like an old flame, and we had done each other some wrong. Me trying to get her into that carrier without proper precautions, and her biting the shit out of me. Although that wasn't her fault. It was mine. I looked at the fading scratches on my arm and the bite mark on my thumb and felt torn up inside. Because of her wily nature and vast intelligence, I often forget Lady is just a 2-year-old 10-pounder who is scared of everything around her, including me. I looked at her in that cage and wondered how I could possibly let her go. In my mind, I saw a montage of the good times we'd had. An unspecified yacht rock song played in my head as I saw Lady lick a treat off my fingers. Then that time she let me pet her because she was in heat and horny. And when we reenacted the creation of Adam, her paw stretched toward my hand, as though it were the two of us and not God and Adam immortalized atop the Sistine Chapel. I came to and realized we'd shared quite a lot during our brief time together. What was meant to be a 2-week foster stay so Lady's milk could dry up had turned into my 6-week quest for her affection, or at least companionship. But she would have little of that, and of me. I carried Lady in the trap back to the shelter and pondered what to do. I had planned to just be a foster parent, but I couldn't bear to put her through yet another acclimation with yet another human, knowing how hard it had been for us. Then I put another check in the pro-adoption column. We'd been pre-disastered, I thought. In The World According to Garp, one of my favorite stories, Garp and his wife Helen find their perfect house just before a single-engine prop plane crashes into it. Garp says to the realtor, "We'll take it," saying they'd been pre-disastered and life would be smooth sailing from now on. I realized this pandemic might be my own lifetime's version of a pre-disaster, and that Lady was my personal symbol of this moment and its attendant difficulties. Her stay with me was born out of my desire to be of use, to not feel isolated and to connect with other living things. I'm a port in her storm too, after being left with her kittens in a box by the shelter and struggling with anxiety and fear in there and then with me. And now here we were, riding out our personal disasters together. Still, I suppose Lady could become a community cat, which is a real thing, mind you. One of the city's army of an estimated 500,000 feral beasts who help dispose of rodents. Although I knew she could kick some serious rat ass, this would be a dangerous life, and likely a short one that would find her hooking in Times Square before too long. I couldn't subject her to that. She was just a 2-year-old 10-pounder after all, and we still had some living to do, together. I'm sorry to say she spent 2 long weeks in the shelter waiting to be spayed. A limited vet schedule and large docket of animals took more time than I had hoped. I hated thinking of her in there, scared and alone all over again, and wondering what had happened to the home she once shared with me, and maybe even started to like, or at least felt comfortable in. I picked her up yesterday afternoon, along with her anti-anxiety and pain meds. In addition to being spayed, she had a cracked tooth they had to extract, and I can't help thinking it's the same canine she plunged into my hand. The mark's still there. I hope it stays. And so now I have officially adopted this cat, knowing full well that she might never grow cozy with me. She may even pine for what might have been a feral life out on the street, taking on New York's most notorious rodents as a real-life Catwoman superhero. I guess time will tell. But I do believe this little Russian blue and I are going to be okay. We'll figure it out. All systems go, full steam ahead. And with that, may I present Lady Sabina Blue, Ruth Bader Katzberg. But I think I'll just call her Blue. I would formally introduce you, but she's indisposed at the moment, reacclimating slowly, as I expected and have come to appreciate. She's taking her time and finding some peace in her still favorite place, the safe and quiet space under my bed, a ways away from me, but just underneath where my head meets my pillow, in our home, Blue.